Welcome, everybody, to Mass Formation Gnosis Radio, Cosmic Radio on YouTube, as well as America Unhinged podcast. Tonight, we are welcoming Kay from the Murder and Its Victims TikTok, Facebook group, and YouTube channel, which is kind of getting hot lately. It's really blowing up. But how are you doing tonight, Kay?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Pretty excited to have you on here. I'm not sure exactly how we met. Did you see one of my videos? Or did I start following your group, or how did that?
Yeah.
I forget.
You followed my group and you were like, hey, I really like your group. And, I make videos too about true crimes. You should check it out. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we met. And then we just started talking. Like it really flowed like we knew each other forever, really,
I think it's because we grew up during the same time period. I think we're roughly around like the same age without disclosing too much or whatever. But we grew up the same shows,
right?
Unsolved Mysteries, America's Most
We're a year apart. We can tell people we're a year apart. So
yeah, and your Facebook group has over 27,000 members right now. So tell me what got you really what blew it up for you.
Okay, so I started it in December of 2020. And the biggest story was something that actually my cousin told me about. And it was about this young girl. She was a foster daughter of a couple, and they abused her, and then she, died. And so that was like the biggest story that really took off. And then there was another story about the Juneteenth killing. This girl was upset that her boyfriend, or some say it wasn't her boyfriend, but he had got killed a couple of days before. And so she shot at a cop so that he could shoot at her and kill her. It's crazy. But that was like the second story that really...
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's sad what depression does to you. But yeah, that was the second story that like blew up. And then, from there, it just kept growing and growing. And
that was a year ago, 2 years ago?
That was a year ago. Yep, last year.
Nice.
And so even though it's not like she was murdered, sometimes I like to do stories that are a little different, that just kind of like, this is kind of weird. Like, what do y'all think about this? Yeah. So
that's exactly what I try to do too.
Mm-hmm. So, and I also want to say, so I started this, like I said, in December 2020, and then my mom jumped in February 2021, Michelle. So she helps me. And so now it's like both of our thing. So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
So let me see. What is my next question?
You want to know what got me into this, right?
Yes, that's what I was going to try to get back into on that.
So when I was 10, this is crazy. So when I was 10, so this is in the 90s, my mom went to a phone booth to call my aunt. And this guy was across the street. He went to a store across the street. When he came out, 4 guys shot him to death. So, seeing that, was kind of crazy, what I mean? So I think that's kind of what got me into it. I'm thinking, because I can't recall, but I know in high school, there was a thing called crimelibrary.com. And I used to, I don't know if you remember that, but
I don't.
It was wonderful the way they described the crimes and everything. And so then I just started reading crimes like on my, in the homeroom. I just started reading about them. And then I actually looked up Jeffrey Dahmer and got scared and had stopped reading about it for like years, because he was weird. He was scary. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But then I just picked it back up and just started,
So what's up with that crime library? Was that like a completely like uncensored website back in like the day? Was that kind of like one of those sites where you just like anything kind of went and the photos were just way out there? Or what kind of site was that?
Now
it was more like a news site.
So it was like a blog. And they had every crime on there. It was the most popular ones that I remember, because those were the ones I just popped up. And the one that kind of got me interested, and I found a crime library, was the JFK shooting. That is yeah. And that's how I got into like seeing that website. But yeah, it had the pictures, it had the stories, and then they're not there anymore. It was a great website. I really wish it was still up.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, the way I got into like true crime was just like those sites like I saw growing up, right? And like if you see like a mainstream site, like or a mainstream show, like America's Most Wanted, or you're going on these different like lost sites, or you're watching Unsolved Mysteries, that's like very much the mainstream narrative. So when I was a kid, I was into it for that reason, because I just thought I was just like learning the true history about these crimes, right? But
Right.
now there's like all these documentaries and all these like news articles and stuff coming out now that are completely just blowing those stories out of the water, like the
Yeah.
Stephen Avery case. I remember that being on Unsolved
Yes.
Mysteries, and
Yeah.
they completely portray that in a different way. But even then today, well, that's a whole different episode, but he guilty, but they still try to play like he's innocent today. There's several other cases I could think of right off the top of the head. Like it's really kind of crazy tonight, but I'm sure we're going to talk about some stuff like that here.
Yeah.
But for me, the main cases that always have gotten me into true crime, the ones that like cross over between a mysterious murder, some kind of nefarious element or organization, or like, when I was a kid, I was into like UFOs and Bigfoot. That quickly transitioned to JFK, right? Like once you start checking out those Bigfoot books, you get to JFK real quick. But yeah, I got a couple of stories related to that kind of political thing tonight. But what's the first story that you'd like to share?
Oh wow. Okay. So the first story that got me like when I was little. Okay, when I was in high school, I watched a movie, Helter Skelter, right?
The Manson murders.
Yeah, and I did not think that it was like real. I thought it was just a movie, right? Until I
oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just became fascinated. For one, I love celebrities, right? So being that Sharon Tate was involved, it was kind of like, okay, this is just crazy, because when I was little, I didn't think like, celebrities could die in like that way, so it was very crazy. So so this happened August 8th, 1969. Let me see if I can get this. Bigfoot books.
Hell yeah. Hey guys, he's psychic. That's why you can never find him.
Is he really?
I mean, that's one theory.
Right. Yeah.
Because we have no other explanation. They're psychic.
Right. So yeah. So this. Here we go. There we go. I was trying to.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I was trying to get that. You know how it is.
We got it.
We trying out here.
We doing our best.
We're doing our best.
We're small town folk out here, at least.
It's gonna be rough. This is my first time. Okay.
This is great.
So we got and I kept calling him Marilyn Manson. I had to write his name. Like, this is Charles Manson.
I mean, with that hair, you might as well be a Marilyn.
So Charles Manson, he was a supremacist. He was trying to start this race war for whatever reason.
I got some ideas.
Yeah, he was crazy. So they had this whole bungalow place. They were staying out on a ranch and everything. And then he was friends with Terry Melcher, who was like a producer, I think, or with the, I don't know, it wasn't the Beatles. I think it was the Beach Boys. But Marilyn, there we go. Charles Manson was trying to get into the music industry. Where Terry was kind of like, your music is okay, but it ain't all that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which actually I listened to one of his songs and it really wasn't that bad. I feel bad for saying it, but it wasn't all that bad. But anyway, so Terry used to live with I think her name is Sybil Shepherd at the CL Drive, where Sharon Tate ended up renting, actually. So he went there a couple of days before the murder and he was looking for Terry Melcher. But they said, he's not here anymore. He actually moved. And he was like thinking they were lying. But anyway, he didn't care. So he sent out like his whole squad to, kill them, unfortunately. So there was Sharon.
Man.
Yeah, there was Sharon. The way I tell stories is so crazy. So bear with me because I'll be all over the place. But
this is such a good one. I know Jay Sebring is the guy I'm most fascinated about personally.
Well, let me tell you, his nephew did a documentary on him. And I think it's just called Sebring, which isn't his real name. I think on his tombstone is his real name, and I can't think of what it is. But he wanted to like let the world know that, you know, no offense to Sharon Tate, but she wasn't the only one that died that night. You know, her death overlooked everybody else's, and it's such a good documentary. It's on YouTube. You might have to pay for it because I think I paid for it, but it's worth it to me. It was so good. And JC Brin, you know, used to date Sharon Tate before she got with Roman Polanski, and his story is a whole a whole nother live, right? But
there's some I'm just have to say there's some evidence that he's intelligence, like deep European, like British Mossad intelligence even.
yeah. Well, you have Sharon Tate, Wojtek Freskowski, Stephen Parent, Jay, and Abigail Folger, who is the heiress to the whole coffee Folger, you know, industry.
Oh shit, really?
Yes, yes.
Oh my god.
So then you had Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, who's at the top, Linda Kasabian, and Patricia Krimrickle, whatever. Anyway, so so Tex Watson ended up going to the house. He cut the power lines. He walked up and he actually saw Stephen Parent first because Stephen Parent was leaving. He was actually going to the home. He actually visited the caretaker, and the caretaker there was William Garretson. So that's who he was trying to see. And let me see if I can find William's picture on here because I think I put that up there. There you go. Yeah. So that was his friend, William Garretson. That's who he was going to see as he was back.
Look at that hair.
I know.
Holy shit.
Those 60s. Yeah.
My dad had hair like that in the right photo.
Really? Oh, okay. Yeah. My dad was born late in the 60s, so he wasn't, it was no hairstyle for that. He probably was bald. Yeah. No, but so as Stephen Parent was leaving, Tex walked up to him and was like, you know, I'm the devil and I'm here to do the devil's work. And Stephen Parent was like, well, you know, like I'm your friend, don't kill me. Well, he ended up shooting him. And
was Tex Watson like the stunt actor, or was he like an actor? What was this deal?
He was just part of Manson's like whole squad, you know.
He's just part of the crew.
Yeah, just part of the crew. And this is Stephen Parent. And I wanted to blur it out so it doesn't be too. I mean, it's really not that much, but still. But that's,
I understand.
Yeah, that's so that's where he saw Stephen Parent. Then he broke in through the window, and he saw Wojtek. And Wojtek was like, you know, what are you doing here? I think that's when he said, I'm the devil and I'm here to do this devil's work. I think he told Wojtek that. And so he ended up tying Sharon Tate and J.C. Bring, who was there, by the neck and stabbed him. Yeah, that was awful. That was freaking awful. And at the time, Roman Polanski was doing a film, so he couldn't come over. Sharon Tate's sister actually was supposed to be there. And thank God Sharon Tate told her, you know, I'm too tired to have you over there because, you know, she would have been a victim too.
Yeah. So do you know about the allegations about Roman Polanski having numerous like sex tapes filmed in that house in different angles that he actually was like taking like there's an allegation out there that he was filming this as like almost kind of like borderline like whorehouse. There's like sex house. I mean, I don't know whether his wife was involved or not, but like he had a lot of these weird sex tapes that were never really brought to light.
Well, I heard that Sharon was like, if he didn't get his act together, she was going to leave him because he was just all out here. Yeah,
he was wild. Roman Polanski's a wild dude. You guys probably know on my channel, but he's insanely wild, right, Kay?
Right. He is like, yeah, he's a wild one, and that's definitely a story for like, oh, he's a whole story in himself. But and then like that's some of the footage that that's some of the pictures that were out there. It was
a lot of blood.
Yeah, it was a horrible crime scene. Like it was crazy. So then during this time, Abigail and Wojtek had ended up running outside and they were stabbed to death. So that's them right there.
Yeah.
The caretaker, he survived. They initially thought he was a suspect, but they clearly found out that he wasn't. Also, they wrote pig in Sharon's blood because they were trying to say that Black people had did this, and they called police the pigs, right? So they did that.
You know that they used to call Jewish people that back in the 50s and 60s?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I think that might be a misdirection, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting to see. But definitely, like, that was a common nomenclature for Jewish people at a certain point in time, too. That's why I thought that was, like, an interesting point.
He probably didn't know what he was doing. He was just doing all kinds of stuff.
Charles Manson was just playing to the popular culture, whatever hate. There's evidence that he was an MK Ultra agent, like just straight up brainwashed from the CIA.
Right.
Served time in Mexico, got released out of Mexico due to the forces of the U.S. government that let him out. But that's a weird story.
Yeah, well, then Susan ended up going to a detention center. She told everybody what happened, and then they end up arresting everybody. So,
that's right.
Already arrested for something else. I think it was car theft or something, but now they're arrested for murder, right? Yeah. And that goes into the LaBianca murders, but the LaBiancas were murdered the next day, Leno and Rosemary, and they owned like a store. I think Leno owned a store, but they wanted to make sure it was super gruesome and like they left the fork sticking out of Leno's body. Like they were crazy. But Linda Kasabian ended up, I believe she was the one who ended up getting, she testified for them. There we go. She testified and she was given immunity because she had the least like part in it. They always sentenced to death until California overturned their death sentence. And so then they were life in prison. And Susan Atkins actually died in 2009 from brain cancer. And then Marilyn Manson died in 2017.
Charles Manson.
Oh my God. I'm never going to get this right. Marilyn, I'm sorry. You are a murderer now.
Well, he's getting me too, so it's okay. I mean, might as well just drive the whole bus over him.
I am so sorry, Marilyn. You're gonna be part of it too. No, but Charles Manson died in 2017. Nobody wanted to claim his body, of course. Like who would? And Patricia Krenwinkel is the longest serving female prisoner in California. So yay, you got it.
That's a record. If I ever heard one.
Exactly. Like go girl. And they still trying to get out, but Sharon's Tate family is like no. But that was it for my first story.
All right.
I hope it was cohesive so people can understand what happened because I just tell stories so weird.
No, the story you told though has so many different threads, and like there's this one guy that went on Rogan and talked for 3 hours about MK Ultra, the Charles Manson murders, and the LSD experiments, and just really tied it all together. I know people think this is kind of like a quack idea, but they should really check this out. This is why I'm really glad you hit on it, and you hit it in like a really cool way where it didn't really cast any dispersion or judgment on that angle of it. It just like happened, right?
Right.
But that story is like really insane. There's a lot of Silicon Valley influence. There's definitely a lot of CIA influence in the birth of Hollywood. I'm trying to get the Occult Rejects on to talk about this subject, about Jack Parsons, the guys who invented fuel rocketry in Hollywood. And I know this probably sounds insane to some people, but it's a really cool topic.
Yeah. I just want to point out that Marilyn Manson also was involved with like 3 other murders, but that's
Charles Manson.
Jesus Christ, Marilyn, I'm sorry. I can't get it right. I knew it. I wrote his name biggest day on here.
This is great. Oh man, I love it.
The name like that. Okay, Charles Manson is involved in 3 other murders, but we're gonna cover that later. Like it was crazy reading about him. Like it was crazy. Yeah, she wasn't the only one who died. There were so many other people because she was the most popular. She was pretty. She was pregnant. That's another aspect I didn't talk about. She was pregnant. There was a rumor that they cut the baby out. They did not do that. The baby was still there, and it's very.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I read about it. They did not. Her sister said the baby was not cut out. The baby.
All right.
Yeah.
There's no Rosemary's Baby situation, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, Charles Manson. Yeah, y'all keep me on my toes. Y'all.
All right, you guys. You guys want to get into some like really deep state politics, murder shit?
Yes.
I want to tell you one of my favorite true crime things. So this is a thing. It's like officially, this isn't a murder. This isn't a true crime case I'm about to tell you about, but it's one of my favorite cases. It really red pilled me down into conspiracies all the way, but I can't wait to share this with you guys. I'm hearing a little bit of echo. Okay, I think we're good right now. That was probably my bad. But this is the case of Terrance Yeakey. Never forget, hero cop who blew whistle on Oklahoma City bombing did not commit suicide. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs of this and then share this video with you.
Okay.
But feel free to like interject anything right now. Instead of being treated as the hero he truly was, Sergeant Terrance Yeakey was silenced by his own government in an effort to keep him from exposing their complicity in one of the largest mass murders in American history, which senselessly ended the lives of 168 people, including 19 children. According to his widow, instead of being showered with accolades by the U.S. government for his heroism, Yeakey was killed with his death being framed to look like a suicide, although a poorly staged one, only days before receiving the police department's Medal of Valor for his heroic rescue efforts on day of the Oklahoma City bombing. On May 11, 1966, only days after Yeakey's death, the New York Times read a story with the headline, "A policeman who rescued Ford bombing kills himself," with a bold assertion that hero cop Sergeant Terrance Yeakey killed himself couldn't be further from the truth. I'm a little bit buzzed. Mars Bars knows about Terrance Yeakey. Shout out Terrance Yeakey, hero. Just gotta address this. And like I said, I'm pretty drunk tonight, so this might degenerate on my end verbally. We'll deal.
You're doing good.
We'll deal with this.
Yeah.
While the New York Times article claimed that Yeakey committed suicide because he was living in such emotional pain from not being able to do more to help the people injured in the bombing, and that he was suffering from intense survivor guilt, which he was unable to manage, this information has been repeatedly refuted by Yeakey's family. In an effort to further muddy the waters surrounding his death, the Times story went on to claim the police are investigating a report that Sergeant Yeakey had violated an order barring him from going near his former wife, said Captain Bill City, a spokesman. Sergeant Yeakey also had a similar order against her, Captain City said. Efforts to locate her today were unsuccessful. And then we'll just go ahead and get to this video here. Jordan right here. We know Jordan for a long time. I think even you, Kay, have known Jordan from some other past videos, perhaps.
Have I? I don't know, but hey, Jordan.
Timothy McVeigh now plays the role of Paul Weisfall. So we got to figure that out later. But
Timothy McVeigh is dead, right? They killed him, right?
I don't know about that. We do not know about that on this channel. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
No, this is like the weirdest conspiracy of all time. But just listen to this. Shout out Jordan, you're the best. You're right, CW. About
this is
Chris
James
Dorner.
Lane from We Are Change, Oklahoma. In this video, we're going to provide evidence that the official story of Terrance Yeakey's death being a suicide is false. For more information, you can go to tytruth.com.
This short film will give you a glimpse into the mystery of the brutal torture murder of Sergeant Terrance Yeakey and address several of the unanswered questions that exist surrounding the horrific circumstances of his passing on May 8th, 1996. Sergeant Yeakey is remembered as a loving husband, father, brother, and son, and highly respected 7-year veteran of the Oklahoma City Police Department.
He was an awesome older brother. We used to hang out and do fun things together.
He saved 8 people that day.
He was always
Wait for the story.
Fun, but he also was about his work too. And he was very serious about being a cop.
We're on location at the Oklahoma City National Memorial on the west side,
his suit,
30 yards away from the west wall, which marks the spot where Officer Terrance Yeakey, sergeant with the Oklahoma City Police Department, pulled up in his black and white squad car less than 10 minutes after the multiple explosions emanated from the AP Murrah building on the morning of April 19, 1995. Mr. Yeakey would pull out 8 survivors that day, the first being Mr. Tom Hall, a GSA employee, and set them less than 20 yards to my right, going back for 7 other survivors. He worked tirelessly over 3.5 hours. The fact that Officer Yeakey was able to approach the crime scene in such a quick manner without protective breathing gear,
this guy's a beast,
as was the case with several other civilians coming from surrounding businesses and other search and rescue personnel, clearly shows that ammonium nitrate and fuel oil was not used as the principal agent explosive to take apart the AP Murrah building.
Or something.
I never heard of
this. Used, there would have been a heavy cloud of nitric gas hanging over the area, and all of the search and rescue people, including Sergeant Yeakey, would have been buckling over, becoming violently ill. That simply did not happen. So that calls into question what actually blew up the E.P. Murrah building. Sergeant Yeakey had witnessed things during his response to the bombing, which did not agree with the official version of events touted by the national media and law enforcement at that time. He was in the process of collecting evidence which supported and documented the inconsistencies he witnessed the morning of the bombing at the scene itself. According to the Yeakey family members, Terrance Yeakey was to meet a colleague in the restaurant directly behind me the morning of May 8 of 1996. He was to discuss records that he had collected regarding the Oklahoma City bombing, which were stored in a storage facility about an hour's drive north of here. Terrance Yeakey never made it to that restaurant in El Reno because on the morning of May 8 of 1996, at 7 a.m., his vehicle was found in a spot just behind me by a resident living up this road no more than a mile away. It was from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. that the car would sit here, full of blood, and according to Terry's sister Vicky, there was actually blood in between the window panes in the back of the vehicle. In addition to the blood, there was an unidentified knife found in the bottom of the glove box, along with razor blades, the car keys, and the windows rolled up tight. The car was locked. Terry's body was nowhere to be found until later that evening, between 7 and 8 p.m., OCPD helicopters, in addition to the Canadian County Sheriff, as well as El Reno Police, would have a large search party looking for Terry's body no more than a half a mile from where we're standing. It is important to note exactly how Yeakey is supposed to have killed himself. He was said to have slit his wrists and neck, causing him to nearly bleed to death in his car, and then miraculously climb over a barbed wire fence.
Keep waiting for it.
He then was purported to have walked over 1.25 mile distance through a nearby field, eventually shooting himself in the head at an unusual angle. Startlingly, no weapon was found at the scene of the body, no investigation was conducted, no fingerprints taken, and no interviews with family members or friends were conducted to try and determine why Yeakey would have been suicidal, or if he had in fact been suicidal at all. Instead, the conclusion that Yeakey's death was a suicide was reached immediately without an autopsy. Far from being suicidal, Sergeant Yeakey was in the process of achieving some major life goals.
This guy was a monster. He was so good
with the FBI
at his
in
job.
Irving, Texas. He was planning on working for the FBI in Dallas and moving there with his sister and brother-in-law. Furthermore, Sergeant Yeakey, a Gulf War I veteran who had served as an MP for 2 years in Saudi
Salt
Arabia,
Lakers, I love you,
was
Salt
also
Lakers.
a 7-year veteran
You're
of
a
the
classic
OCPD
on this channel.
and had just been promoted to sergeant, November of 1995. Several weeks before his death, he had been awarded the key to the city of El Reno, Oklahoma, for his heroism during the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing. Additionally, Yeakey had reconciled with his ex-wife, and plans were set to remarry her shortly after his move to Dallas, Texas. Despite all of this, Yeakey was living under constant scrutiny for his refusal to go along with official versions of the events during and after the Oklahoma City bombing. And because of his refusal to change his story about what he saw that fateful day,
but I keep
he was the target of horrific
do this
persecution
one
from his brothers in law enforcement,
You should, yeah.
including Oklahoma City
This is
Police
one of my
Department Chief
favorite
Sam
ones.
Gonzalez, his commanding officer, Lieutenant Joan Randall, and alleged good friend Jim Ramsey,
Not alleged,
on the force at the time.
And this is like
Although he was
shit.
looking forward to his new job with the FBI, Yeakey was described by his family as a man who was also living in great fear at this time and who was preoccupied with the harassment he was being subjected to on a daily basis. When Yeakey showed up at his older sister's home the evening before his alleged suicide, he was physically ill. When she attempted to take him to the emergency room, Yeakey would not allow this because he told her, "They can find me there." Yeakey never told her who they were in an attempt to protect her.
I'm Terry's oldest sister, and he was brought to my home prior to his death. He was ill, looked like he had been in some type of shock or something. I had given him something to eat. He didn't do well eating. He went back to sleep. He woke up maybe a couple hours later, walked across my living room floor a couple of times, convinced my prior husband that he was fine and that he needed to get back to Oklahoma City because he had dare class the next morning. Officer Randall called me and was looking for him, said he didn't report to work. Did I know where he was? And of course, I did not know where he was. The day went through, I called a lot of his friends and tried to find Terry, and I couldn't find Terry. About 6 o'clock that evening, some detectives came to my home and they told me they had found Terry dead and that he had taken his life.
At approximately 10 o'clock at night, the phone rang. I had just put my grandkids to bed, and excuse me.
I know it gets a little bit rough right here.
My daughter screaming in the background. And I knew something terribly was wrong. And my son-in-law said, Mom, they found Terrance. He's dead. So I proceeded to tell him that I'm on my way. And this officer, Detective Mullinex, got on the phone. He said, ma'am, this is Detective Mullinex. Do not try to drive. We will send a car for you. And I agreed.
They're trying to make everybody seem like they're crazy, right? When shit like this happens.
Well, you know, you get too upset to drive.
Waiting for someone to...
Well, even beyond that, they just try to make you seem like this could never happen to somebody in your family. Like, there's no way your family member could be...
officers.
Sorry, just going to pause that for a second. It's kind of like almost... It's almost like the interrogators, like, there's no way your family could... I mean, this is, like, in favor of them, but in general, I'm just saying, like, how can you... Such a weird situation to be in, right? Like, how can you just be like, hey, the government was involved in my son's death? Like, how can you... Like, how much do you have to choose your words? Like, to what extent do you have to choose your words?
I don't know. Mama look like she would say what she got to say. Mama don't look like she care about that nonsense.
I think this is her saying that, and it just sucks that they just can't, like, it's such a
oh, you know, they gonna cover for themselves, you know what I mean? So
it's so weird. It's so sad, and it's just like, yeah, I don't even know what I was trying to say right there.
Stories. And they told us that we looked at too much TV.
I screamed out, he didn't take his life. Somebody murdered my brother. At that point, I then decided to call his former wife to ask her, to let her know that he had passed. And from that point on, I was told that he did take his life and that he was a big guy and what I knew was wrong.
Terrance Yeakey was laid to rest at this spot on Saturday, May 11, 1996. It was also here that his mother was presented with the Medal of Valor from the Oklahoma City Police Department.
It's kind of how they all look like out here in the
ceremony.
They try to find a
full
flat
21
spot.
gun salute honor guard.
It's hard.
Terry's name was announced at the end of the Medal of Valor presentation ceremony later that evening, and he's the only recipient given a standing ovation at the ceremony.
Yeah, that's my first one I wanted to share to you.
So because you that he did not kill himself.
I mean, can you kill yourself in that way? Like beating yourself in the head and slitting your wrists like dozens of times and shooting yourself multiple times? Like, he was obviously tortured in case he survived, right? Like he wasn't just like executed. Whatever was done to him, like, had to have been like an extended torture session. And it could have only been for something meaningful, right? Or like some really noteworthy knowledge. But just one final thought on that, then like we could talk about your next case. Pretty weird, right?
First of all, I've never heard of this. So I appreciate you bringing it up because I had never heard of it. So I'm glad that you brought that to my attention. Are they continuously like, when did this happen? This happened during the bombing, right? That time it was 1990s.
Like Oklahoma City bombing, like 93, 94. Yeah.
So did the family like give up on trying to figure out what exactly happened, or are they still fighting to figure out?
I don't think anybody cares anymore because the Clinton machine has been so firmly established. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like a deeper thought about it. But I mean, obviously nobody's been trying to solve the... Timothy McVeigh has been executed, allegedly. If you're in my world, some people think that he's still alive. And he was probably trained out here in New Mexico, in White Sands, because they had Ryder bomb trucks in like 93, 94 out here. They're like testing Ryder truck bombs before that bombing, just in case of like a preliminary terrorist incident, or I don't know. It gets really weird out here in New Mexico. People don't really understand because it's like a giant state. It's the 7th largest state, but we also have 3 million people. So there's nobody here.
So my question is, maybe I missed this. Why would they be targeting him? Like, what is...
Targeting who? Terrance Yeakey?
Yeah, like...
So he saw... What they're saying is he was such an early first responder that he saw some people there or something there they shouldn't have seen.
Oh, okay.
He saved 8 people. And 168 died. That's actually like an astronomical number of people to save in a mass casualty incident, right? So he saw something, was like, holy shit, this is it.
Right.
Like, I'm going to go straight to the spot, and then did it. Jordan was like, here, like he knew too much. Yeah. He just responded too quickly. That's what happens when you're a hero sometimes in these incidences.
Oh, that's crazy. Well,
it sucks.
That was pretty interesting. So, yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, I never heard of it. So thank you for bringing it up because I ain't never heard of it.
But it cannot even be like considered true crime in some like...
I think it can.
Hey, you think so? Yeah.
It's whatever you want it to be, man. It's whatever you...
That guy was murdered, man.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like it.
God damn it. Okay, let's get to your next one.
Okay, so my next one's popular. All my stuff is popular because they just really...
Because you just pop off like that. I know.
No.
No, you're good at this.
Oh, well, thank you. So this is actually one of my dad's favorite cases, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, when I was little... Amityville Horror came on, right?
Oh, yeah.
My mother had me watch it. I don't know why. It was terrifying, okay? But, they focused so much on the Lutz family, right? That they didn't really focus on the actual, DeFeos. So I always thought that, the Lutz family was... I didn't focus on the actual murders.
So which ones? Can you, like, brief me on that again? Because I forget. I'm a stoner.
The
Feos and the other one. What's the other family?
So the Lutz family moved into the Amityville.
Okay, they're the ones that moved in,
right? And they said it was haunted. So this is them. I don't know. Can you see that?
Let's see right here. What are you trying to like share?
The video. I mean the picture.
Oh, here we go. We got it now.
Yeah, that's the Lutz family. That's Kathy, George. I forgot the rest of the kids' names. But Kathy actually was married before, and then she had these three children, and then she ended up marrying George. Well, they moved into the Amityville house. They were there, I think, less than a month, and they claimed that it was haunted. Now, as one of the kids, I think his name is Christopher, he ended up growing up and just saying that George made a lot of this stuff up, and that he was into like satanic rituals and all this kind of stuff, and that like a lot of that was...
Which one's George?
George is the oldest man. He's the dad, or the dad figure to the kids.
So he was a Satanist?
That's what Christopher Lutz said. That he was into a whole lot of crap, and that things did happen in the house, but they said it wasn't like the movie. Like the movie was a lie. That's what he said. It was just a way for George to make this money. And George and Kathy Lutz are now deceased. But
and I'm sorry I'm a drunk, but what time period are we talking about?
This happened in 1974.
Okay, perfect.
So before they moved in, you have actually Butch is on the left. I made it wrong, but Butch is Ronald DeFeo Jr. and then you have Ronald DeFeo Sr. So they were in the house first before the Lutz move in. Let me see. You have his mother, Louise DeFeo, and then you have the children. So that's Don, John, Allison, and Mark. And then you have, like I said, Butch right there. So November 13th, 1974, Butch went into a bar and said that his parents were dead. When the people came over, they noticed that like everybody was dead. Everybody had been shot with a shotgun. The parents had been shot twice and the kids had been shot once.
Shit.
Yeah, I know. So Butch goes on to say, you know, he doesn't know what happened, that his mother's parents was in the mafia. So he thought that maybe that was, you know, what was going on. I got to get the picture up, but that's the picture of like the houses and how everything was. They end up finding like evidence, like the gun and like dirty pillowcases, like with blood on it, clothes and stuff in Brooklyn. That's where they were initially from. They're initially from Brooklyn. So these are the pictures that you're seeing now where they found, you know, the evidence. So the next day they ended up arresting him because Butch had shotgun shell casings in his room, and they were like, come on, you know. So anyway, he finally admitted that he killed them, but he said the voices told him. And the voices did it, you know. It was the voices' fault. So that's why, you know, he killed his family. But he said his sister helped him. And they did find a different bullet from the shotgun. So that's a big deal. Like, where did this extra bullet come from? You know what I mean?
Magic bullet.
Yeah. So there's a big conspiracy, but we're going to get to that. But that's some of the crime scene. Anyway, a doctor evaluated him and noted that he had anti-personality disorder. He was also heavily into drugs, all kinds of things. And he ended up getting sentenced to life.
Was he a veteran of some kind, or was he like in the U.S. military, or anything that was documented?
He was just
interesting.
That was the original house, and the windows. I'd never want to see a house with windows like that. That scared the hell out of me. Okay, when I was growing up, those top windows scared the hell out of me. But anyway, he ended up. He actually died in prison in March 12th of last year. So the weird thing is, was Don involved? Like his older sister. His older sister was into drugs as well. The father was abusive. They hated the father, and it was very well known that he was just abusive. And Don wanted to kill him too. That's what her boyfriend said. So Ronald DeFeo Jr. said that, you know, he came home, he noticed that Don had killed everybody. He got mad and killed her too. So that was one of the theories. The other theory is, you know, he heard voices. And then another theory is that Don and another friend killed the parents. And then when Ronald came home, they killed everybody else. And then he killed Don. Like, it was just really crazy. So my question is, nobody heard any shotguns like in the neighborhood. Why was everybody face down in the home? Nobody jumped up to run. You know what I mean? Toxicology reports stated that they didn't have any drugs in their system. So I'm just like, why? You know, that's just very odd to me. And apparently the murders happened at 3:15 a.m., which is called the bewitching hour. That 3 a.m. time is when yeah. So that was like a big thing too. But my question is, why didn't anybody hear anything, you know? And then where did that other bullet come from? Was somebody else involved? I don't know. But he died last year, so I guess nobody knew. You know, nobody will know. He also was married, which is weird. I didn't hear about that. And he had a daughter, but he said that it didn't happen. The wife actually said that it happened. She actually has, let me see if I can pull it up. Oh yeah, here it is. So Geraldine DeFeo. So she said she was married to him. He said that she wasn't, and the baby is not his. It was just really crazy. At the end of the day, this is one of the just craziest crimes, and it's always stuck with me because to me they're so focused on the haunting and not the actual crime, you know, that happened. And people have lived in that house since the Lutz have moved, and they are like, we didn't have any issues. But the house, I want to go visit it. I wanted to go visit it. It's nice. And it's on Ocean Avenue, and it reminded me of that Yellow Card song. I don't know if you remember that song.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just kind of like blew my mind on that because it was just like, holy shit. Like, the only thing I ever knew about that case was the movie, but I just sat there trying to absorb that, and I don't know if I did right now. Well, there was a lot of information you just dropped. Like, you laid it out. Like, that was like such a great
Well, thank you, because I tell stories so weird. It's just it don't really connect them, but I hope people can pick up the pieces and understand what happened. They do have websites like the Charles Manson has a website, the Manson murders, and then the Amityville one has a website, so you can read about that, in detail. But it's that DeFeo thing is just very convoluted about what happened, how it happened. Then they were talking about a seventh victim hiding in the closet. It was just crazy, but
it's so dramatized. It's just like done over and over again, and that's why I like to have you come on here, and it just was like no bullshit, and everything I've seen about on the movie, like you just know those horror movies are just so like insane nowadays.
Well, I wonder if he was buried with his family or where they buried him. I wonder if
DeFeo or the other guy.
DeFeo. I wonder if they buried him with his family or they just got rid of him. I didn't look that hard in him because once he died, I was like,
that is interesting. I wonder how that worked out.
Yeah.
I wonder what their like religion was.
I don't know. I just know that his mom's side of the family were like into the oh my gosh, it's a Genovese, I think, mobsters. They were into the mob. So I do know that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what he was trying to say, that the mob is what killed his family, but come to find out that wasn't it. But who, it's so weird.
It's possible. I mean, it's such a brutal crime. You really can't like
But see, here's what I want to know. If your father is abusive, why wouldn't you just kill your father? I'm not saying I'm not advocating killing, but his father was so cruel, and this was told by many people. So what would make him not like just kill his father and leave the rest of them like alive? Did he think that they will miss him? Like, did he want to cover it up?
Because especially if you're a man and you kill your father, you can't have it's just one of those things. You have to kill everybody else, because I think that it only escalates from there. Like, if you're going to be set on killing your father, you're probably, I would venture to guess that most people who have killed their father probably killed other people.
And then the kids were, I think, arranged.
Who were children, like just in like those family killings we talk about.
Yeah, there were.
You know what I mean? Like those like homicide killings where like the father kills like the family. I bet you it's like the father and always somebody else.
Well, the kids range from age 6 to 18, I believe. Don was 18. So it's just crazy. I just think that's so awful to kill, like, kids. I'm definitely against that killing kids crap. Like, that's crazy. But
oh, well, thank you for the perfect segue.
Oh, wow. Okay. What you got next, my friend?
You know what one of my favorite cases is,
yes,
right?
I think I do know. I'm a guess. Can I guess first?
Go ahead and try to guess.
It's the two girls?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was just like happened to be a good that just happened to be a good strike for me on the YouTube algorithm.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, we don't want that.
To be fair.
We don't want them problems.
No, that was a good story. The Des Moines, Iowa girls. I forget what they call it.
I remember me and you talking about this.
Yes, we got a couple of really good videos here, including a deleted scene from an incredibly famous documentary that completely distorts the narrative that most people think about the West Memphis Three. Okay. But I'm going to read the first few paragraphs and just get into some like video clips and all that. But the West Memphis Three are three men convicted as teenagers in 1994 of the 1993 murders of three boys in West Memphis, Arkansas, United States. Damien Echols was sentenced to death. Jesse Miskelly to life imprisonment plus 2 20-year sentences, and Jason Baldwin to life imprisonment. During the trial, the prosecution asserted that the juveniles killed the children as part of a satanic ritual. Kind of debated. Obviously, this is updated. We're going to see this in some videos I'm going to share.
Right.
But due to the dubious nature of the evidence, as well as the suspected presence of emotional bias in court, the case generated widespread controversy, was the subject of several documentaries. Let's go ahead and see if I have some. What's the video here? So, in case people don't really know, there is a little bit of new news in this case where Damien Echols is trying to get this new evidence tested. Sorry. This evidence was meant to be tested for a long time. Apparently, there's been some controversy as to whether it's existed. Mm-hmm. But I want to show this quick little video. It's like they're going to retest some new evidence. A lot of people think they're really innocent, but in my opinion, I think they're guilty of sin.
Really?
There's a lot of evidence in favor of them. I'm going to show you this old clip from back in the day from the 90s where it suggests that. And I also want to suggest to people they check out Gary Meese's podcast on this on Spotify and all that. But we'll go ahead and just watch this quick little clip because Damien Echols is a weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. But I think he has mental issues, right? Like he's a little slow, like his IQ was low. Is that what they said?
Well, that's Jesse Misskelley. But then there's also Damien Echols, who's like the weird occultist, who's like a...
he has his own YouTube, right?
He does!
Yeah.
And he talks about this like dirty shit.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah. I don't know why he keeps this going. Like, dude, move on with your life. Like,
well, there's one reason that he keeps it going, in my opinion. He has a lot to hide. Mm-hmm. Like, why do you keep going this hard? Like, dude, what is your deal? But, I mean, the video clip I'm going to show is a deleted scene from the, I don't know if it's the West of Memphis documentary or it's the Joe Berlinger, the big time Paradise Lost. I think it's the Paradise Lost documentary series. Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 documentaries. Mm-hmm. This is a deleted scene from that. Okay, but they posted it to YouTube. But the defense attorneys and the prosecutors are in a hotel room handling this piece of bloody necklace back and forth, talking about it. That's believed to be owned by Damien Echols.
Well, Cosmic, we have to tell them like what the Westminster Three did. You're gonna tell them, like, you know.
Oh shit! I think man, I guess I should just tell them about it. I told them about it a little bit, but I got to talk about it more, huh?
Mm-hmm. I got you.
The crime on May 5th, 1993, 3 8-year-old boys, Steve Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, were reported missing in West Memphis, Arkansas. The first report to the police was made by Byers' adoptive father, John Mark Byers, around 7 p.m. The boys were allegedly last seen together by 3 neighbors who, in affidavits, told of seeing them playing together around 6:30 p.m. the evening they disappeared and seeing Terry Hobbs, Steve Branch's stepfather, calling them to come home. Initial police searches made that night were limited. Friends and neighbors also conducted a search that night, which included a cursory visit to the location where the bodies were later found. A more thorough police search for the children began around 8 a.m. on May 6th, led by the Crittenden County Search and Rescue personnel. Searchers canvassed all of West Memphis, but focused primarily on Robin Hood Hills, where the boys were reported last seen. Despite a shoulder-to-shoulder search of Robin Hood Hills by human chain, searchers found no sign of the missing boys. Around 1:45 p.m., juvenile parole officer Steve Jones spotted a boy's black shoe floating in a muddy creek that led to a major drainage canal in Robin Hood Hills. A subsequent search of the ditch revealed the bodies of 3 boys. They had been stripped naked and were hogtied with their own shoelaces, their right ankles tied to the wrists behind their backs, the same with their left arms and legs. The clothing was found in the creek, some of it twisted around sticks that had been thrust into the muddy ditch bed. The clothing was mostly turned inside out. 2 pairs of the boys' underwear were never recovered. Christopher Byers had lacerations to various parts of the body and mutilation of his scrotum and penis. The autopsies by forensic pathologist Frank J. Peretti indicated that Byers died of multiple injuries, while Moore and Branch died of multiple injuries with drowning. Police initially suspected the boys had been raped. However, later expert testimony disputed this finding. Trace amounts of sperm DNA were found in a pair of pants recovered from the scene. Prosecution experts claimed Byers' wounds the result of a knife attack that he had been purposely castrated by the murderer. Defense experts claim the injuries were most likely the result of post-mortem animal predation. That's actually kind of the general consensus in a lot of this. Any initial thoughts? Any chance of occult activity? Do you think Damien Echols could possibly be involved? Or do you think this is one of the stepfathers that is something we're going to talk about?
Terry Hobbs. They said he probably had something to do with it. Is that what you heard?
Yeah, we're talking. There's a little bit about this tonight. They're retesting some of this DNA in that regard, but I'm going to push back on that a little bit tonight. What do you think? Initially, we still got that clip to watch too.
Yeah, so I can get my final thoughts at the end because I have my own thoughts about this case.
Cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and watch this clip from the deleted scene from Paradise Lost.
Okay.
This is that film that was supposed to be suggesting that Terry Hobbs and them did it, right?
Yeah, they were trying to give the innocence, and you had Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder, I think, were trying to prove their innocence too.
Right, but this is going to be a clip that kind of hints that maybe the kids did it.
Okay.
But never shown in this official video.
Okay.
I'm a little drunk. I'm sorry if I'm slurring people.
It's okay. We working with you, honey. We working with you.
Sometimes that shit happens on this channel.
So I can't hear the sound. Is it supposed to be sound right here?
You can't hear it?
Mm-mm.
You say you can't hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. I see why. I see why instantly. No worries. I got the click right here and tell me now what you think.
Let me see.
Just give it a sec.
Okay. Oh, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to my boy Cosmic, okay? Just want to put that out there.
I'm doing my best, people.
You're great. I love your energy. So y'all better follow him. He's like this all the time, just giving you greatness.
This is the Crime Stopper.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
Oh gosh. Where is this mystery object? Y'all got it?
It's around here.
I can't believe you didn't make your bed up.
Do they not make your bed?
No, I expected you to get up in the morning, make the bed up, and
So Val tells me that y'all discovered this because of police ineptitude.
We told them that because of their allegations, they were going through the files, looking for some of that stuff and making sure everything was where it was supposed to be. And we pulled that out while we were going through there and we're looking at it and saw those little red dots. And I said, y'all better test it.
Where was the blood, Brent?
Right there. 2 millimeters up.
they've had almost a year to investigate this case. And John Fogelman, I will tell you now, he needs to go into a new line of work. The infamous Inspector Gitchell is retiring.
He talks so funny.
So John should take his position because he can solve crimes that nobody else can, because he decides, I think, let's see, murders occurred on May the 5th, 8 months later. You know, we ought to go check that lake out and find a knife.
And we'll find it in 1 hour.
And then let's say
without a metal detector.
We're in the middle of the trial. We're in the third week of trial. I think I'll just go check this necklace that is not a part of evidence. We're not intending on introducing it because how can we? Because we have rested our case in chief. So we're not going to introduce it into evidence. And so he decides one night, well, I think I'll just, there's some real red specks on there. I think we'll have it tested.
After you've rested your case, you find this miraculous blood. They call the judge up and say, Judge, we need a continuance. They don't call me. They don't call Rob. They don't call Val. They don't call anybody. They just get the continuance. They call the judge. You're not even supposed to do that. Everybody's supposed to be able to do it. It's supposed to be on the record.
That's the kind of lawyer I want. Somebody to go hard for me.
They got a continuance. They rested their case and they get a continuance.
I can't believe people pay these people to argue for them.
You could tell a story to someone in another state.
Just getting drunk in a room together.
What's the punchline in a macabre, pathetic
going
situation?
hard for his. That's what I like.
Where are you going with this? No one would believe this whole.
It's like, why are the defense and prosecution hanging out together?
Cross-examined, and they're objecting
in a hotel room
overnight.
There's no way that you can have this.
That's how they do it in Memphis.
All kinds of problems.
They're banging each other.
You got a jury. Some jury members come.
Look at that bed.
Don't know what they were told.
That's a disheveled bed.
And said don't come in because of what they heard on TV.
Just kidding.
And then Jim Taylor's telling it exactly like it is on TV.
I'd like to know where he got that.
They said, no court tomorrow, jurors, you don't come in. And then right after that.
The reason is they're waiting on further testing and genetic design as to whether or not there's blood found on a necklace worn by Navy Nichols the night of his arrest that matches the victim. Somebody told him straight up.
I agree with you, but it didn't come from us. The juror kind of overhears that walking by TV or something.
Oh, sure.
And then it doesn't come back. Then it hurts us.
Obviously, it hurts us to even.
I don't know, Kay. Does that change your opinion on the West Memphis Three at all?
I don't even. No offense.
You don't even know what happened right there, right?
No, I don't. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not. Like, okay, listen, I got a country accent.
Funny.
I have a country accent too, right? But I could not understand what they were saying. And no offense, I've been around a lot of people. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Was it not loud enough, or was it just like plenty loud enough?
You know what? It's this, and then I just have in my head who I just think is responsible.
Who do you think is responsible?
That daggone stepfather. I do. I just think that Hobbs had something to do. Is he still alive? I think he's dead, isn't he? The stepfather?
No, he's still alive. That dude's still alive.
Why am I trying to kill everybody off?
But I don't trust that Damien Eccles dude. Like, I think that guy is like some kind of weird Satanist himself.
I think he's just a weirdo. I think he's just, people are just weird out here, and that's cool. Like, you can definitely, people are just different. And because of that, they should not have been. I believe that's the reason why they were convicted. But one of them said that they did it, right? Which one admitted that they did it? But,
I mean, they all went back and forth on it. Jesse Miskelly.
Yeah, one of them said, yes, we did it. And the others were like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? Like,
dude,
why would you say that?
I really think Damien Eccles had some shit to do with it.
I love good lawyers that will go hard for you. And he could have been playing it up for HBO, but I mean, I don't know. How long were they in jail for, Cosmic, before they were released?
Which one?
All three of them.
Well, I think Damien Eccles just got released in the last 3 to 4 years. I think Miss Kelly also. I think they've all been in the process of getting out of jail, but they never have really pled not guilty. They took an Alfred plea.
Right.
Anybody who's gotten out of jail is taking an Alfred plea, which means that you don't acknowledge guilt, but you accept the penalty for which you would have been guilty.
Right.
In a certain sense. But in my opinion, dude, I think this Damien Eccles kid, I can't share the stuff I want to share tonight because it's hours long, but people should check out Gary Meese. Dude, this Damien Eccles kid had a history of manipulating weak kids in high school, did some really weird shit with animals.
Yeah.
Did some really weird shit, potentially in this case. I think definitely the stepfather, the weird stepfather that just tried to be all in the videos, like a fucking pedophile P. Diddy.
Yeah.
That fucking what's his name?
Night dancing all in the
what's his name? Terry? What's his name? The you know what I'm talking about?
Terry Hobbs.
That guy, the white trash fucking Suge Knight in the videos in this case. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of different shit going on.
So you said they're testing that Eccles wants them to test the DNA to see, to exonerate him completely?
Allegedly, apparently there's some new DNA that they've gotten a hold of, or that the prosecution has said that they didn't exist, but they have recently found.
Okay.
So that could go in both ways. I know that looks bad for the prosecution, but
oh well, they always rush into judgment. So I really think that they rushed to judgment in this case, and I just feel that they judged these kids because they were different. I mean, granted, Echols has his own problems, but I felt like because people are different, they get judged, and they wanted to solve this case so bad that they just pick these three, you know what I'm saying? And then of course they were kind of like, yeah, I might have did it, I might didn't do it. So they're like, okay, we can get these kids, because they were young too. They were teens, right?
yeah, Eccles was a lot older. He was like 16 or 17, and these other kids were in like the 10 to like 13 range.
Yeah, so I just think they rushed to judgment to solve this case. And because they were different, Memphis was probably I believe like a Christian town. They got these weird kids, and they must have did it. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's fair, unless we really know. You know what I mean? To be judged because of how you are.
I think this one's so interesting because I think the whole satanic panic thing was kind of like back in the day viewed to be like this whole scare, like, oh, it's obviously this big travesty that it couldn't be false. And now we're like, well, a little bit of it was like kind of true. So now we're kind of like back in rehashing our past, being like, well, which of that is true, and is this part of that? Right. That's my biggest question about this case is this an actual case of true satanic panic where Damien Eccles, whose mom was into this weird witchcraft, who sucked blood of children who were damaged. No, he was into he was in juvenile detention center, and when people were injured, he would try to get their blood and suck the blood of people who had nosebleeds or cuts and juvenile detention. He was very much his family was very much into this, but they were all obviously criminally troubled at the same time.
Right. I think I do remember his family just had a lot of issues. Yeah.
So this is where I'm just where I'm not sure. Terry Hobbs, obviously a weirdo, and quite frankly, if you want to be honest, weird stepdads are pretty much a staple of American culture at this point. It was just whatever. Mm-hmm. But let's go ahead and get to your next case.
All righty. So my third is I don't know. I get a little emotional, but I don't think I'm gonna get emotional today because I tried to work that out. But anyway, it's Emmett Till. So
oh my god,
yeah, this is and then there was a recent gosh, I didn't even write it down, but there was a recent show. I think it was Woman of Color or Woman something like that. But it's a new show that broadcast his story again. Yeah, I get upset when I talk about this because it just don't make no sense. It don't make no sense.
It's a horrible one.
Yeah, and I did not have his picture pulled up because it's just too much.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, I know the picture.
But if y'all go on Google and you look at Emmett Till, you can see his picture. So let me pull up the picture of I thought I had the one of him and his mother, but I guess I don't. I don't know what I did with that. But oh, there it goes. Yeah, okay. So this happened in 1955. Okay, so Emmett Till was born July 25th, 1941. He lived in Chicago. Now, his mother, Mamie, was from Mississippi, so she had family down there. So she sent him down there to be with his great uncle Moses, his cousins, and everything for the summer. A lot of people up north would do that. They would send their kids down for the summer. So she did educate him on, what to do, what to say, how to act, during these times, because there were certain ways that Black people had to act in white, spaces. Unfortunately, he had a stutter from polio, and that would make him whistle at times.
Yeah.
Anyway, so August 24th, he went with his cousins to the Bryant grocery store. And this was owned by Roy and Carolyn Bryant. He went in there, and Carolyn Bryant said that he was flirting with her. He whistled. He grabbed her hand and said, "Baby, I've dated white people before. You want to go out," and things like that. And so after that, she grabbed her shotgun. Let me pull up Carolyn. This is Carolyn. Now she's in this picture. They said she was 21. She's supposed to be 20. She's supposed to be 21 at this time, allegedly.
Dude, them in pictures back then, I don't know.
She looked, she looked older, but she said she was 21 here. So anyway, I got a lot of animosity towards Carolyn. Okay. So, anyway, when her husband and her brother-in-law were out of town at this time, they were like in Texas, I think. And let me see. I think this is no, that's not the picture. Bear with me. Oh, let me point this out. So this is the great uncle. This is Moses. Okay. I just want to point that out. See, I had this all like in order in my folder, but now I'm going through this. It makes it a little difficult. But so this
I feel you. Yeah, keep going with it.
Yeah, thank you. So Roy is to your left, and then you have John to your right. Now, like I said, Roy is John's half brother. So when Roy and John came back from their trip, they heard a lot like what's going on, like like just little talk about like this boy said something to his wife. And so a black customer actually told Roy what was going on. So then they set out to find, who this guy is. And they found out that he was a boy from Chicago. So on August 27th, John, Roy, Carolyn, and a black worker of Roy, his name was Johnny Washington, went to get Emmett. They eventually found out where he was, and he was at, of course, his great uncle's house. And I think I have a picture of that right here. They went in there with a gun, a flashlight, and just told Moses, hey, if you want to live to next year, you better give me this boy. You know what I mean? They ended up bringing Emmett out. They asked Carolyn, hey, is this the N-word that, that did this to you? She said yes. So they ended up taking him to a barnyard where he was beat up. He was mutilated, like like they cut his tongue. They cut his genitals.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it just gets me upset because this boy is 14. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. This boy is 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? And initially they were thinking to beat him up, but they decided to go further. And I just don't understand, no matter what racial issues you have, how you do this to a little boy. I don't get it. It really upsets me. But so they cut his genitals, they cut his tongue, they shot him in the head, they tied him with a barbed wire, and they attached a cotton gin and then threw him in a Tallahatchie River. So yeah, that's what they decided to do. This is the Tallahatchie River now. And this is the marker that they have for Emmett Till. 3 days later, a young boy named Robert Hodges found the body of Emmett Till, and his uncle Moses identified him because of his ring. Now, this ring was given to him by his father. His father had his own issues. He was in the military. He was accused of murder, and he was actually killed too. But that's that's another story. He was
that's interesting.
I know it was crazy, but then they're thinking that he was set up as well. He was a black guy in the military, so
I gotta look into that. Holy shit!
Yeah, look into it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So they identified him. His uncle identified him by his ring because this boy was unidentifiable. So Mississippi tried to hurry up and bury him so, the news wouldn't get out to what happened to him. But his mother was like, no, I want my son home. She paid a lot of money to have her son shipped home. And she ended up seeing his body. I'm going to try to see it. This is the picture. Wait, this is the picture when they shipped him back to Chicago and he was in the box.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So
you dropped some really good like new knowledge on there.
Oh, well, thank you. I dive deep because this stuff is crazy. The things that people do to people, it's crazy. So his mother was like, I want to open this box. I want to see if this is my son. She saw that it was her son, and she said, I want the world to see this, because if the world see what these people are doing to our black children, our black men, our black women, whatever, what I'm saying, maybe it would change things. And so people ended up seeing his body. They were, like I said, I didn't show that, but I did have a picture of his funeral. And so I didn't show his actual face, but that was his funeral. And it was just a lot. So to wrap it up, they ended up charging Roy and his brother-in-law with, his half-brother with murder. However, they were tried by an all-white male jury, right? So, they got off. And then they later, John later admitted that, hey, yeah, I did kill him. And what? Because, double jeopardy. You can't try them twice. So, Roy and Carolyn ended up divorcing. Roy got into a lot of issues with food stamp fraud. Yeah. And then he and then he ended up dying of cancer in 1994. John ended up dying of cancer in 1980. Miss Mamie Till is actually deceased, and then you have Carolyn Bryant, who's still alive. Now, she ended up admitting to a professor that everything that she proclaimed about Emmett Till was a lie. So she ended up telling him, yeah, I lied about everything. What was her reason? I don't freaking know. I think because he might have whistled when he was stuttering, that pissed her off. You know what I mean? They did look into charging her again, but the case has been closed. So she's the only one alive and just walking around.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So that kind of pissed me off because my thing is, you lied and this boy died and you the only one living. And that's amazing that she lived this long. I thought karma was somehow, that just pisses me off. It just pisses me off. But that is one of the stories that has really stuck with me because he's young, he's Black, and then racism. I mean, I'm Black, you know what I'm saying? So it just be, it's just.
Yeah, it's it's definitely like a really crazy, random, bizarre, incredibly brutal case. You know what it also reminds me of is like, it's like obviously years after the fact, but it reminds me a lot of like the Matthew Shepard case.
Oh yeah, that was messed up too. That was messed up.
Like in terms of like the body mutilation, that's like the only like major case I could think of that was like that brutal, Yeah. It's like the Matthew Shepard case was like kind of like the last kind of like really brutal situation I could think of like that.
Well, I will say that this was Mamie's only child, so she didn't have any more children. She did get remarried, and they're buried in the same cemetery, but they're buried far apart. So I went to the Washington, D.C. like African American Museum, and I believe his original casket is there because they end up putting him in a different casket. So I did get to see that. But yeah, it's just very crazy how racism can make people just do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, or anything, just to be that hateful. But yep, that was one of the crimes that stuck with me. But I do encourage y'all to look at that show. I don't know, even I watched it on Hulu, and I think it's like Woman of Color or something like that, but it's about his life. So
nice. Yeah, I heard of it too.
It was
I guess we're going to get to like the last like little part of it tonight. We're going to my third one now, right?
Yep.
All right, sweet, man. Kind of a awesome show. Trying to keep up with this.
Oh yeah, it's so good to do this with you. By the way, I want to let y'all know he's looking to the side because he's looking at me on his. What you said, the TV?
Yeah, I got a TV off to the side, and there's me right here when I'm trying to talk to stuff. But
so that's why he keeps looking to the side. Yeah,
that's why I'm looking like a weirdo. But people know how like low key I am on my channel now. So
I love it. I love it here. Okay,
we're about to get to like my most favorite case tonight. My most favorite true crime case. I don't know how many people know of this. I think you know of this, but you know about the missing Johnny Gosch, right? So Johnny Gosch was born in 1969 in West Des Moines, Iowa. He was a paper boy. He went missing on September 5th, 1982, when he was 12 to 13 years old. I was presumed to have been kidnapped. This single kidnapping probably set off a whole child sex trafficking storm that probably permeates this day to Jeffrey Epstein. And this sounds like an over-exaggeration, but it's incredibly not.
I know how big you are on the Jeffrey thing.
A neighbor named Mike told police that he saw... I'm trying to get back to this screen right here. Try and navigate. Bam. He saw Johnny talking to a man at a blue car Nebraska license plate. Despite this tip, there have been very few leads in the case, and Johnny has now been missing for over 32 years. Johnny's mother, Noreen, believes that he is still alive and is being held captive. She claims that on the morning in 1997, when Johnny would have been 27 years old, that Johnny and the man who captured him visited her and told her that he was all right. According to Noreen, Johnny looked over at the man multiple times for permission to talk. No evidence has ever corroborated Noreen's story. There's been several pranks on this lady. There's been lots of weird discussions on this topic for sure. So people think it's tied to Epstein. So people think this
all the way
kid.
back there, all the way back then in the 80s.
Oh yeah, there's this case called the Callboy scandal in the 80s and the 90s where they basically, at the time, it was Republicans like running gay callboys to the White House. So between the Reagan, like Clinton, Bush, Clinton era, they're just like trafficking these callboys. And Jeff Gannon, there's like a really, really deep thread if you go on. I actually did an episode on this, the Franklin Credit scandal. But it was this Boys Town organization out there in Nebraska started in the 70s and 80s by this black Republican named Larry E. King. And he was basically brought before grand juries to like testify like, hey, where did this $32 million go? He was like, where did all this stuff go? And Johnny Gosh is one of these boys that went missing, that there have been witnesses who have been at these sex cults at the West Coast at Bohemian Grove by the name of Paul Benassi. That's one of the accusers. But he said that he came across this boy, Johnny Gosh, at Bohemian Grove being kidnapped from the Midwest. One of the first milk carton boys, like in terms of like the missing carton boys.
Right.
And his mom has just been on this media tour for like 40 years trying to like talk about this. And I got like a video on this, and this is one of those cases where like I can't really talk about it all right here. There's literally 5 hours to talk about on this subject. But this is such a bizarre case, and this is my favorite one. This is my absolute favorite one, and I'm just going to try to find that up.
So what makes it so bizarre is you think that he was sold into trafficking?
Well, Johnny Gosh was allegedly trafficked into this ring where all these politicians were like George W. Bush, like all these royal figures were there at Bill Clinton, like even before this. Like Bohemian Grove is this place in San Francisco where all these elites are thought to be a member of. Like think about like any politician that you think of. And coming out of this one single case are numerous allegations like murder, sex trafficking, like caging boys and girls, like doing things to them, shooting them in the head while doing things to them. Like it's like really, really bad. And like if you think about this stuff, I'm like, how is this not Jeffrey Epstein today? Like how's this not just the 80s, 90s name on the Jeffrey Epstein saga? And I wonder if these like true like political sex crime organizations are real. And obviously Johnny Gosh is missing to this day. And I'm not even to the main video yet, but let me show the video before that we'll get your final reaction.
Yeah.
I know this stream was kind of all over the place, but
hey, no, I think we're doing good. We had some technical difficulties
at the beginning, but yeah, we dealt with it.
We pulled it together, thank God.
But this guy, is like I remember this guy from when I was a kid, okay? Like I remember watching this guy on Fox News and CNN because I was always a political science guy. I just like always liked it.
Right.
But this guy came on Fox News trying to say like, no, I'm not this missing kid. Like I'm not this missing traffic kid. Don't look into it.
You know what? Please. I think I did hear something about this. Okay.
Dude, this guy's name is Jeff Gannon. He's also thought to have been Johnny Gosh, this missing kid from that same thing I just showed you about.
Right.
And the idea is that they like abduct these kids, they abuse them. And if they're talented enough, they kind of throw them into the media for a bit to try to see if they gain traction or not as like a double agent or something.
I think they still do that.
But this guy he actually was on CNN for like a year or two, then they pulled him off. Because he's a fucking what a maniac, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's just watch it. This guy's defending him, by the way.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Deedle and Daniel Show. This is a story 23 years in the making. On our first show, we told you about a missing Iowa boy, Johnny Gosch. He was kidnapped back in 1982. His mother, Noreen, was here to tell her side of the story.
You are obsessed with this story, I know. Today, we have the man who may know what happened to little Johnny. Some claim that former White House reporter Jeff Gannon may actually be the missing boy. So right now, let's take a look back at how the story got started. Johnny Gosch vanished from his West Des Moines, Iowa neighborhood without a trace. The newspaper delivery boy was on his morning route when he disappeared. One theory, the boy was kidnapped, sexually abused, sold into a child sex slavery ring, and brainwashed by the CIA. Some claim Gosch was snatched for the Monarch Project,
say it
government-sponsored
right?
mind program designed to create top-secret escorts. The story then picks up in 2005.
CIA.
The internet was abuzz with word that former White House Jeff Gannon may in fact be Johnny Gosch. The claim based on similar body markings and a lack of information about Gannon's early years.
We have looked into some records that came from Pennsylvania where Mr. Gannon / Guckert supposedly went to high school. We've looked at photographs, and some of them match, some of them don't. There's several photographs that look strikingly like Johnny Gosch, and there are some that don't even look like him at all.
In February, Gannon was exposed. His name actually James Guckert, a man with no journalism experience whatsoever, who had links to several gay escort services online.
What?
And joining us right now from JV, Florida, the man at the center of the controversy. You're looking at him, former White House reporter Jeff Gannon, who watched our show.
Didn't have his DNA.
Wanted to come on and chat, and we appreciate that, sir.
DNA?
Mm-hmm. Like, didn't have Johnny Gosch DNA that they could have.
It's actually funny because I think they actually talk about this right here. They're like, "Oh, we can take your DNA." He's like, "I'll be happy to get my DNA," but like, it never happened. Never happened.
So, Jeff, here's what Noreen Gosch said on our last show. Let's listen, and then I'm going to ask you to react.
Are you that little boy?
I do not know if Gannon is Johnny or not. Only a DNA test would provide that information conclusively.
Like, she's
Jeff,
even
one
unsure.
question for you. Let's get right to the point. Are you willing to take a DNA test and settle the controversy once and for all? Yes or no?
Absolutely, I would definitely take a DNA test, but that isn't even necessary because there's so much evidence to available to disprove these accusations.
That's a yes, then.
Well, he's saying yes. My friend Jeff is saying yes.
As a lawyer, I can smell a
No.
hitch.
You got to understand something. My friend here, Jeff, who's come on our show today, didn't do anybody else's show. He's going to tell us.
I love a good Italian.
How old are you, first off?
I'm 48 years old.
48 years old. My man Johnny Goshi there would be 35 years
thing
old.
of all time.
Lisa,
Why
the
are you
numbers.
avoiding the question?
No. He just said, hey, Jeff, you said you would take a DNA. I could set this whole thing up, but let's get to the point. The point is, by giving a DNA sample, there could be opening up some other avenues of things that I kind of know that you possibly could be involved. And I don't knock it. Again, if you want to go suck on a Johnny Pump or whatever you want to do, you could do in this world. But the point is, all we're here for is to show that my friend Jeff is not over it. Jeff?
There are dozens of people who have known me most of my life that could definitely vouch for the fact that I am not this person. Look, what happened to this child and the suffering that his mother has endured is a tragedy. But it's also been very difficult for me and my family, my real mother and members of my family who have had to listen to these fabrications being spread.
Yeah, he's like, he's just going for it. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
I
gotta sell this.
He's full of it, but I love his energy. I love it.
In newspapers, on television, and on the internet.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. Not
I ain't buying it.
Are you willing to take a DNA test, yes or no?
Yes. When I cut my finger yesterday, there was plenty of DNA available. You should have stopped by.
What else you want, Lisa?
Are you his lawyer?
No, excuse me. He's my friend Jeff down there. Jeff, thank you for coming on the show again. You know what we're doing here? All this conspiracy stuff on the blogs, on all these internets. What we're doing is we're cutting to the chase.
Conspiracy theorists
Again, I don't understand why,
It's not fair,
and you said it
Kay.
to me over the phone, and you said that you feel sorry for Noreen. You feel sorry for her missing her son, and you wouldn't put her
It's not
through
my
if you
fault,
were her son.
Kay.
And you said you're 40.
Huh?
I said, you're good. He's just so, I would not want, like, I like his energy, but I would not want him representing me because he has no professionalism at all. And I love the way she's taking a stand. Like, listen, I just want to know you're going to take a test or not. Like, I love her. She's like, I'm tired of all this nonsense.
We're just going to go ahead and, like, this is the final thoughts here. This guy's fucking, that dude's lying, right? That dude's Johnny Gosh. Like, that's the missing dude.
You think he is?
That's him right there.
But why wouldn't he want to be reunited with his family? I don't get it.
Because he's been so damaged and brainwashed by the government that he's already had a new life.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You know, you're more into the conspiracies than me. I just be like,
but sometimes they intersect with murder.
Oh,
and
yeah.
true crime.
Because those are like, you know, most of the time you just have the straight facts. My brain doesn't really go deep. Like, it's just superficial. Like, that's what it is.
It's crazy, right? Though, like, don't you think that was like pretty bizarre? That's a pretty weird case. Yeah. What do you think about that case?
I mean, I think it's crazy. And the fact that they never took a DNA is really weird to me. Like, are you gonna take a DNA or not? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why drag this on and on, you know? And his lawyer is hype for the cameras, you know. I think he's probably hype in real life, but all that extra on the cameras was just unprofessional.
Right. And that dude was like, oh man, there's so much to go into.
And because, you know, at the end of the day, there's a family that is mourning. There's a family that's wanting their son home or wants to know what's going on. And to me, he's just kind of making a mockery of it.
That mother didn't discount this. She was like, she was like, maybe.
Well, they normally get DNA from like what cups that they throw in the trash and all that. They can do that. You know what I mean? Like, just steal
unless you're protected by the.
Oh, that's true.
The deep state.
That's true. I forgot about that.
That's right. So sometimes it's like a certain level where you're just too far in there.
That's awful. I hope that there's a resolution. So is there anything going on recently about this, or they just kind of let it go?
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think they let it go. I always thought that these cases were connected to the Epstein debacle, but there's no real way to connect that, right? Because in my opinion, okay, so what we just saw was like the gay aspect of it. Like, let's just be completely fair. This is like the homosexual escort scandal that was thought to be only Republican based in like the 80s and 90s. But now we're seeing this like Epstein, like young girl like thing just come up all the time for like the last like 10 years. So my deep question about all this true crime shit is like, well, I can't wait for all the young boy debauchery to come out because, you know, that's damn sure the next scandal to come.
Right.
Like, this is not going to end with this. They're going to keep fragmenting it to different aspects, like to where we can't make sense of it. And it's all the same thing, but they're not going to all call it the same thing, right?
Right.
Like, it's so funny to me that this is like the gay escort scandal of the Republicans in like the 90s. And then like the Epstein scandal just happens to happen in like the 2010s or 20s.
Well, it's been going on for years, you know. It's just been going on for years. It's going to unfortunately keep going on for years because.
But they play us, right? They play us on it. It's fucked up.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting. I think I did hear about that because I think you showed me that clip before of that guy just being really extra.
I think that's definitely been on one of my videos before.
Yeah, I think I've seen that, and that's crazy. At the end of the day, you know, people remember when this is off topic, but it has to do with true crime. When the Romanoff family, I think it was called Romanoff, but Anastasia and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So remember that girl came out and said, I'm Anastasia. You know, they were still looking for her. And, you know, so people always come out and say, I'm this person, I'm that person. And they don't be that person, even though they look like them, they the same age, but it don't be them. So that's interesting.
Weird shit for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead and like, I know you got places to be.
Oh, no, I can be here all night. You know what I'm saying? They good. I'm gonna see them regardless. So.
Do you have anything you want to plug tonight before we end?
Oh, well, yes. So I'm Kay again. I run Murder and Its Victims on Facebook, YouTube. Okay, so on Instagram it says Murder and Its Victims 2, and that's because I got locked out of the first one.
We all do.
Yeah, I put a 2-step verification on it and didn't save the codes. So I've been working with them for a year trying to get my stuff back, but so I had to make another one. So nobody stole my stuff. I just had to make another one. Then I'm on YouTube. So on YouTube, I do like since I don't have a podcast, like I just kind of like do like upload my TikToks, actual videos that I actually sit down and edit, and then like courtroom stuff and different things. So that's me. And I want to make sure that, the people that follow me also follow Cosmic. He's awesome. And I love his stuff because he just dives deeper than I can think about. So I appreciate you having me on here for sure.
No problem.
And I appreciate your friendship. I mean, we've been talking for like months. It's been real cool.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I'm a mess, sometimes I'm on point, but today was like a good conversation to get to talk true crime. I never get to talk true crime with like anybody on this channel.
Listen, I got a lot up here, so if you ever want to talk about it, I got it. It's just it's unfortunately it's getting worse since COVID. People are just getting crazy, so it's always something to talk about.
That's for sure. We got to think about like a monthly like true crime check-in or something.
I'm down.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Cool, right on. Well, thank you everybody for joining me tonight. Go ahead and follow her channels. The links are below in the description, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much.